on the website for the residents now, it will clearly be able to see what's happening as far as the budget's concerned. And I'm sure, you know, going back to income and expenditure, most councils, districts as well as parish, town, will be having the same discussion about rising costs, not having enough income because of expenditure, and how terrible would it be if everybody decided that they were going to cut services because of the expenditure and lack of income, you know. So I do feel that, you know, I've only been a councillor for a short time, but I do feel that Ackworth as a community is outward looking, forward thinking, and I do feel that with Gemma at the helm, we've got somebody who we need to trust and help us drive this parish council forward so that it can be the best it can be. And it is going to be difficult, you know, there's hard decisions to be made, I get that. But the last thing we want to do is to cut anything that we're running already in the village, because that would be dreadful, absolutely shocking. We really need to be thinking about what can we provide that's better and improved moving forward, and by cutting staffing it would be an absolutely backward thing to do, and inward things for us to be looking at. You know, I don't know, I'm rambling a bit now, just sore throat, but
I ramble too, so that's right.
you know what I mean? I just think that, you know, as a group of people...
Thank you. I've learned a lot tonight, Chair. I've been coming to these meetings for 10 years and I've learned all this evening about how the council runs and I never have done before. So thank you, and thank you, Gemma.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. John.
Just quickly, I'm ashamed to say I forgot to mention the library, and I promised to mention the library.
Sorry, John.
But that's one of the big things about that, because when we're panicking about the, if it wasn't for the support of the parish council, that's one of the things that's happened in the last 10 years. We've got a massive community asset in the community library. It's a one space, the customer base is from babies to, 90-year-olds. It's got all sorts of things going on. It's round every Friday. All sorts of groups meet there. It's a massive thing. It wouldn't exist. The parish council pay the rent for the building, the repairs on the building. For £1 a year, that's what we get, a massive asset. It probably has 100. I think she's at 3,000 plus members of the library, out of a population of 8,000, which is really good, and it's an ongoing and developing thing. They want to grow it, and it is a real success story. And I just think that's one of the unseen things that people don't realise, that there is staff time put into that, because we maintain the building. Our staff, our caretakers, maintain the building, maintain the car park, make sure the lights are all working, make sure everything's working, and it's a comfortable, safe place for people to come. Now, if we did cut hours for caretaking staff, for cleaning staff, for any of the office staff, well, that's one of the things that would be endangered, and I just think that'll be appalling. There's going to be a time when Wakefield Council going to turn around and say we're going to reopen the library as a public library and we're going to pay for it. Not in the near future, because they haven't got the money to do that. That's a fact. It has to run as a community library, and it's doing that successfully. Mainly on volunteers, but yeah, with the support of the Parish Council. So I've said it now, so I won't get it wrong.
Thank you, John. I'll move on in terms of the agenda. Is there any other comment?
No, just as long as we received it, yeah.
Yes. So I'm just going to confirm that we received that report as part of item 9. We've had quite a good discussion so far. So I'll move on to item 10 then, to approve the proposed budget for financial year 1st of April 2025 to 31st March 2026. I'll take proposer and seconder for the proposal that's in the report. Do I have a proposer for that? John and Nathan. So that's been proposed. Just to be clear, that if I'm just putting out all scenarios there. If there is, if that proposal isn't put through, then we need to make sure that we will 100% give clear instructions to Gemma in terms of what we want the budget to be and that if that means cuts, then that needs to be looking at cuts. If that means, you know, that sort of thing, it needs to be 100% clear in terms of what an alternative would look at, and that would mean calling, and I'm not saying that this would be a problem, by the way, in terms of calling extra meetings and that sort of thing. If that's what's got to be done, that's what's got to be done. But just to bear in mind that there would need to be time frames and allocated time so that staff can meet those demands and that sort of thing as well. So just to keep everything in mind with that. And there is a deadline that we've got to submit our budget to Wakefield Council for as well. Otherwise, we are in the danger of going into a new financial year with no budget, which would be catastrophic for us. And I don't think we'd be allowed to do that, but I wasn't sure what would happen. Sarah, do you want to...
Sorry, no, but just at some point I do. Might not be the point here, but yeah.
Oh, right.
I'd just I'd like to speak before you go to a vote, that's all.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, are there any other comments? I'm opening to the floor, I'll ramble. No, okay, Sarah, yeah.
Okay, so we're in the item on the agenda
Item
now
10.
where we have to approve the budget. The item is to approve the budget. We've heard lots, most contributions around the table have been supportive of the budget and the proposals in it. We've heard questions about the actual figures in the budget, you know, questioning the actual numbers in the budget, and we've heard comments about too much spent on staff. But if I'm to be persuaded that I shouldn't be supporting this budget, I'd like to hear an alternative proposal to the budget that's in front of us, not just a criticism and a query. So I'm just thinking if anyone around the table wants to persuade me that, or tell me the reasons why they won't be supporting this budget, I'd really like to hear it, rather than just have, you know, hands not raised when the vote's taken. Because I do think we have a responsibility and a duty. Well, we have to act responsibly, and we have a duty to set a budget, and we have a duty to... No, I've said responsible too many times now. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yes, make the point.
Thank you. Stephen, yeah.
As was said earlier, some people have known what all these figures were for some time. Others have only known for 2 or 3 days, and there's a lot to go through. Very difficult. We're not a business. Businesses are there to make profits. We do need to balance the books, and that's very difficult. You either make a loss or you make a profit. The difficulty with not pushing the precept up over the last few years is that it has to go with one larger bang which people are going to notice much more. The builder did say to me, put all your prices up every 6 months, because that way you can push it up a little bit and people are quite happy. They pay a little bit more, leave it for a few years and push it up a large amount, and people will notice it and people will complain. We're going to have to do that. So probably we may need to ask for a little bit more money from everybody, including yourself, to help to try and reduce that £53,000 deficit that we've got. Right. It's certainly not going to be totally recovered, but until we do that, we can't be paying the staff the wages that they should have. In the time, we can't really be looking to employ staff that we can't afford. As was said, I forget the name of the chap who's going to be taking over as chairman of ASDA. He's turned quite a lot of companies round over the last years, apart from Leeds United Football Club, which has said it's a totally different sort of thing to what he's used to.
I don't know how many people support Leeds United, but you know, you've often had quite a lot of good years supporting that team. A lot of heartbreak.
Yeah, but as I was saying, it was a totally different sort of thing to what he's used to doing. It always was. we're in a difficult position. I think really we need a little bit more time from most of the people to have another look at all this now it's been explained and trying to work things out. I've been in business 40 years and I get a lot more time than that to look at my poultry figures when I come back from the accountant to see what to do. But I think if anything, we do need to probably bite the bullet and ask for a little bit more money to get rid of that deficit if we wish to do this. And the only other way is to go through everything that we're spending. Where did I see £10,000 for a gala parade? So we don't need that. One or two other things we may be able to put back on to help that. But it takes a lot of time to look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I'll just give you the time to speak.
You're going to sleep.
No. Thank you for that. I hear some of what you're saying, and I do agree we've got hard decisions to make. I don't think no one wants to put a precept up. No one, not a single bit. But sometimes hard decisions have to be made, and it will be with a heavy heart. I mean, my personal situation with work, means that I'll be looking for a new job at the end of January. So putting up a precept, it's going to be a bit difficult for myself. So that's not just myself who's on it, but we can all be in difficult situations sometimes as well. And I just think that the Parish Council's done its best to take a lot of burden for a number of years. So we've had some difficulties ourselves, which has already been mentioned in terms of local clerks and covering clerks, and then last year in terms of, so we've used some of our reserves to shoulder some of that burden. But we are where we are, and decisions were made in the past, and I certainly think that they're done genuinely and with good intention. It's not done deliberately to, let's screw over the parish. I don't think anyone's here with that sort of mentality. I think everyone's got the best interests of this parish, and in terms of all the comments that are made and all the work that's put in as well, of course. So, I'm just rambling now again. Any other comments? Andy?
I'll just go back to what I said before, that because one thing that seems to be being implied is that I suggested staff cuts, and I did not in any way suggest staff cuts. But we have to be able to justify the increase and the benefit it will give to the community. And I'm still not in a situation where I feel I can do that. And I'm not on the personnel committee, I'm not on the finance committee, so I haven't had any chance to look and say, well, if we don't have these other people, what will we not be able to do, or anything like that. And there's all sorts of things said, but to now say that within the next 2 or 3 minutes I've got to come up with an alternative proposal for it is actually frankly ludicrous and completely unrealistic, because I haven't got the data to start with to enable me to do that. So, in answer to Councillor Balfour's point about wanting to hear it, that's my point. I don't know how to justify this level of an increase to residents.
Okay, thank you for that comment. I mean, one proposal could be that we delayed and we came back at a later point in January for this. That is a proposal that could be put forward and put to the vote, just to give a democratic perspective on that.
I think we possibly need to do that.
Is that a proposal?
I'll propose that, yeah.
So Stephen's proposing to delay setting the budget at tonight's meeting. Is there a proposed date?
What are the dates we have to have?
What are the deadline dates? We don't even know those, so
7th of February.
So it needs to be done. So I would say if there was an alternative date proposed in January, obviously we'd have to check with availability to see whether. Lynn, yeah.
If we move it from tonight to a later date, so that people have more time to read it, at that later date, the end point of that conversation is going to be, it's like to be, we need more information, or we need more of this, or we need more of that. And I think what we'll do is just run out of time.
Mm-hmm. Fair one. Yeah. So.
Yeah, yes, I'm hearing what Steve is saying. I understand the sentiments of the proposal, but if we defer the decision, we'll still have this budget in front of us.
Yeah.
We won't have an alternative budget, fully prepared budget in front of us.
That is correct.
So if a decision is taken at that deferred meeting not to accept this budget, we'll still have to give an instruction to the clerk to prepare a budget on a different, bottom line, so to match, to fit a different bottom line sum of money in a different precept.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand what you're saying, Andy, and my question was more not give us detailed dots and commas, but to accept what the clerk is telling us. The RFO is telling us about the staff hours, about the necessary person hours to do the work that needs to be done, and if there's a proposal, if there's a proposal on the table or a view on the table that we shouldn't set this budget at this level, and therefore we shouldn't increase the precept by the level it's going to be increased, we also have to have a comparable proposal about what we are, as I said before, about what areas of our service provision, to put it in those terms, we're going to cut.
Yeah, I quite agree.
So that really is an argument, I think, that we haven't been proposed and said it's an argument against deferring, really.
Yes.
I don't think you can move this on at all. We'll just come back with this same budget, and we then have to have another meeting. We have to send Gemma away with sufficient time to prepare a second budget to a different set of bottom line numbers, and then we'd have to have a vote on that. And I don't think it would move us on, really, in terms of approving a budget. So that's. I didn't start out to make an argument against what Steve has proposed, but that's what it is.
I mean, my intervention was only to just basically there is an alternative in terms of, if the whole council, if the council did decide to defer, that is an alternative if necessary. I was just putting the argument that there are alternatives that could be put forward. I don't necessarily agree with that personally, but I'll just merely put that forward to just help others democratically. We don't have like an alternative date proposed, so I'm going to push for a date in terms of whether it be in 2 weeks' time or whatever. So there's something specific in terms of the deferral, but also following that we would then need specifics in terms of what the budget would look like, what we would want people to look into, and that sort of thing.
No, we can't do that.
I'm not saying we should do that, I'm just saying in order for me to move forward with the deferral proposal, which is currently being put forward, so I'm going through the procedure, we've only got a proposal at the minute, there's not enough detail for me to move forward with that proposal, so I'm not prepared to take the proposal as it stands, because there's not enough information there as to what we're doing, and in terms of what it would look like in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, basically we'll have another year of not getting it quite right.
But it is right, it's within 1%. Last year's budget, 2024-2025, is within 1%, so it is right in terms of what's being proposed.
Can I just ask that if there's any question marks over my competency that they're put through the personnel and not discussed in front of the public, if that's okay?
Yeah, of course.
This is my best work at presenting a competent budget,
I understand.
and if we think that it's not right, I appreciate your view, but my competency as your clerk is not the public review.
Okay, so I'm going to move, in terms of I feel that there's lack of detail for your proposal in terms of deferring, I'm going to move forward to the proposal that's on the table, which has been backed by.
I didn't get any second bill for that. Is that's
Well, I want more
the-
detail for it.
Yeah,
So.
sorry, Chair. So that was
John and
for the one that's
Nathan.
on the agenda. Yeah, proposed for second bill.
So in terms of the budget that's been put forward, that's been proposed by John and Nathan so far. Can they get votes in favour of accepting the budget and approving it? Got 7. Votes against? 4 against. Okay, thank you. Item 11 then, to decide upon the precepts to be levied upon Wakefield Council for the financial year 2025-2026. Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought you could.
Like, quick getting to that page, Chair.
Yeah. I'm going to go from the report that Gemma's done. So I am going to propose that the precepts be raised by the 24.29%, which is in the report that we've been given. So that would be the new precept levy would be £271,655.77. An annual increase of £18.49 over the whole year, which would raise that to per household £94.62, and that's based on Band D. Is the new annual total. So that's what I'm going to propose as the new precepts to be levied upon Wakefield Council for financial year 2025-2026, and that's in the report pack. So I'm proposing that as chair. Can I get a seconder for that? John seconded. I open the floor to comments on that, because that would be in line with the budget that's been put forward as well.